Hello, I'm Andrea Mandel here at the People and Entertainment Weekly studio at the Toronto International Film Festival. I'm here with the cast and director of Carmen, a film unlike any I have seen before. This is, most simply put, a modern interpretation of the opera Carmen, but it's so much more. I want to start with you, our director, Benjamin Millepied. How did you come to this project, and what about it made you want to set Carmen in the U.S.?
I've been interested in directing and making short films, dance films, for a very long time. I think having been in actually West Side Story and as a dancer in New York and working a lot with Joan Robbins early on in my career, I wanted to contribute to the form with something personal and bring music and dance, in this case, in this film, really a dramatic story with music and dance that is dreamlike, that felt that, the connection between the narration, the music, the movement really worked together seamlessly to create a powerful story.
Now I'm here with your stars, Melissa Barrera and Paul Mescal. We first got to know your choreography in Black Swan, of course. I can't imagine it's easy to take on such advanced choreography as you might put into this film. So can you two talk a little bit about approaching the dance that's involved in Carmen?
I mean, I was terrified because I'm not a dancer. I don't consider myself a dancer, but Ben has such an organic way of choreographing that he would see how I move and what I can do and choreograph according to that and make me look good, which is something that's a gift, because he has a very unique style and it feels very, I don't want to say pedestrian, I don't think that's the right word, but it feels very normal, and because we're both normal people that aren't dancing. Normal people, see what I did there?
Nice.
Thank you.
But he did that for us. He was very conscious of making us look good and making it feel like it was seamless.
What was it like for you?
Yeah, it was a long process. I definitely enjoyed I wouldn't even call it dancing, but the kind of act of physical expression, and physical theater and drama school was always one of my favorite kind of modules. But to then be in Australia and in a dance studio for 2 weeks, there was definitely a couple of sleepless nights where I was like, what am I doing? Why is this what I've chosen to do? Because it was so, it was a really brutal 2 weeks, really enjoyable, but we were working as if we were dancers for 2 weeks and learning to dance with each other and also to learn the choreography. So it was a big undertaking, with one that I really enjoyed, but it definitely took me a second, I think.
Was there ever a move or a particular sequence that felt like a trust exercise that you were just I'm just going to trust in my director's vision here, but it feels, I don't know?
It was probably all of those things. It was an act of trust in Benjamin, but also the dance, or a lot of the dances that we had to perform together, was all weight-bearing and trusting in essence, which I think is what's so smart about Benjamin's choreography, is it is related to the characters and not just a dance. It's serving many kind of structural purposes, I think. Yeah.
And Benjamin, for you, how did you tailor the choreography to your two stars?
Well, it's something that actually I did learn on Black Swan, when I was way back when rehearsing with Natalie and working with a little camera and moving around her and trying to understanding that the camera movement could actually help, enhance the dancers, the actors' movement. So, yeah, essentially it's really a lot about studying them, how they move in space, and leading from, again, how the character would move, but creating something that's completely organic. There's no difference between how they physically express themselves on screen in simple scenes, and that connection to the dancing is really important. So it really, it needs to be convincing at all times. And it was very much, I didn't want a character that was a Marine to suddenly look like a lyrical dancer. It should be a real man who dances, Marine who dances. And so that was something that we talked about a lot.
And the Dancing Marine.
So you and Natalie are both first-time directors now. I mean, her film came out, I think, 6 years ago at this point. So I'm curious how you two share ideas together or collaborate in this space.
Well, I mean, we actually keep things quite separate, but you know, of course, she was instrumental. I think, particularly in the editing section of the movie, you know, telling a woman's story, and she certainly gave me a lot of wonderful advice as I was editing the film. But yeah, I think it's not like we do keep things quite separate when it comes to our creative worlds.
And Melissa, you were in the Heights before this, so you know the world of song and dance is not foreign to you. But how is this a lot different, perhaps, from that experience?
It's completely different. That's the thing when, you know, when a lot of some people in my life were like, "You're doing another musical? Like you just did one." And I was like, "You don't understand. This is completely different. This is a drama with dance and singing. You know, like it's more like it's like a genre of its own that Ben is creating with this style, and it was a completely different process. Within the Heights, there was a lot of dance too, but it was like salsa and, you know, specific choreography and like steps, and it felt like it was more like a showing off thing, and this is a furthering of the character development and story through movement. So yeah, it was a completely different experience.
And you're both singers, but I'm curious what singing was like in under Benjamin's direction. Paul, I was trying to remember if I've heard you sing before, but I'm not sure. So I'm just curious what that was like.
Yeah, one of the first things that I remember getting in relation to the project was the kind of some of the songs that Nicholas Britell wrote. And obviously a huge fan of Nicholas's work. So when that was sent through, I was like, these songs are really stunning and didn't feel like typical musical songs. They're like rooted in kind of multiple different forms because Nicholas is so smart. So yeah, and I feel like the song that I perform in the film is really just like gentle and soft. It's not like a big number as such. I don't feel like there's numbers in the film. There's like sequences. They feel like, I feel like that's the best way to describe it, but I feel like I'd be more comfortable singing than dancing, so I was more focused on, I think, the dancing. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just talk a little bit more about that. I think when I talk to my dancers on, you know, to perform on stage, I always say that it's about drawing the audience in, not performing out to the audience. And I think the dances and the songs in the film are part of like their experience. It's not they're singing for the audience, and it's more about drawing the audience into like their personal expression of the narrative in the film.
And I just wanted to end with, what do you hope audiences take away from this interpretation of Carmen, which is so modern and so different?
Well, there are really two characters who are strangers in their own land. You know, it's the journey of this woman and you know, looking for freedom and carried by the love and the connection to these two other women, which are her mother and Mescal, this sort of aunt that awaits her in Los Angeles. And there's a sense that while Aidan brings Carmen to life, she brings him to death, and they have this moment that they've never experienced before together in the film, which is, I find, really touching.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us to talk about this film. And I know your premiere is today, so wish you well and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.